Chapter 755, Switchboard Receptionist. He received a letter? Didn't he say that something happened at home? Walter's family lives in Backland, so if there really is anything wrong, then they can directly come over via public carriage or a rental carriage. Wouldn't that be faster than sending a message by mail? With his salary and land in the countryside, he can definitely afford it. Klein nodded without a word, as though he had just asked in passing. He slowly returned to the reclining chair, sat down, and began to seriously read the papers. Upon seeing this, Richardson didn't say a thing as he silently retreated out of the room and quietly closed the wooden door. After hearing the light click, Klein cast his gaze away from the papers and towards the door. He thought, "I've discovered another advantage of Richardson. He enjoys observing his surroundings, and he's able to notice information of value. Back when Bishop Electra was a guest at Member of Parliament Maury Mack's place, he was the first one to notice it from the balcony. However, this is different from a spectator. The focus is more on the event rather than the details. Walter's matter seems a little abnormal. Could this be the additional development Erodes mentioned? Regardless, I'll first divine the matter. I don't want danger to come to me without me realizing it." With this in mind, Klein immediately entered the bathroom, took 4 steps counterclockwise, and arrived above the gray fog. Every time he appeared as the fool, his inner shell beneath the gray fog would wear Klein Moretti's appearance. It wouldn't overlap with Sherlock Moriarty, Jayaman Sparrow, or Dwayne Dance. Due to the lack of necessary information, he could only divine about any danger that targeted himself. Therefore, he didn't use dream divination. He removed the spirit pendulum around his wrist and wrote the corresponding divination statement. "Walter's abnormality will bring me danger." Holding the spirit pendulum in his left hand, Klein closed his eyes and entered cogitation as he muttered the sentence he had just said. After repeating it 7 times, he opened his eyes and saw the topaz spinning counterclockwise at a rather ordinary speed and amplitude. This also meant that Walter's abnormality wouldn't bring him any danger. But this can only mean that I might not encounter any dangerous trouble through this problem. In addition, there's also another possibility. The danger depends on whether I make the appropriate choice. If I were to rashly get myself involved, something that is dangerous might become dangerous. Klein interpreted the matter with his rich experience. Just as he put this matter on hold, he suddenly saw the crimson star that represented the hermit chorus gate as it burgeoned and shrank. Does this mean that the payment for Scales of Luck is here? Klein was delighted as he immediately emanated his spirituality. He was left disappointed because Katlia was only requesting Mr. Fool to pass on a message to the hanged man. She didn't mention when she would close the deal with the world. There are obninsks at the Abyss Maelstrom north of Sonia Island. Mr. Hanged Man is pretty lucky. At least he isn't like me, needing to enter the ruins of the battlefield of gods. Of course, obninsks can be dangerous as well. It's not easy to use one for a ritual. Mr. Hanged Man might even need sea gods' help. Ma'am Hermit's request is actually to help find the direct descendants of the Abraham family. This means that Queen Mystic is rather aware of Mr. Door's origins. The Emperor had mentioned it to her. Klein began making connections from Katlia's words as he threw the corresponding image to the crimson star representing the hanged man. At this moment, Alger Wilson had just finished his reports and had passed the examination, allowing him to return to the Blue Avenger. When he saw the endless gray fog and heard the hermit's words, he walked to the captain's cabin with a deadpan expression, keeping his pace normal. Upon entering the room and closing the door, he came in front of an alcohol cabinet, took a bottle of Lanty Proof, the most beloved drink of pirates, and poured half a cup. Alger immediately held the cup to his mouth and downed it like it was water. During this process, he kept his eyes half closed as though he was completely immersed in his own world. After drinking half a cup of Lanty Proof, Alger put down the cup, wiped his mouth, and chuckled. Abraham family's direct descendant? This might be very difficult for others with almost 0 clues, but I can ask Miss Magician. Her teacher is one. Admiral of Stars still isn't aware of it yet. He quickly reined in his emotions and paced about, finally giving up on his idea and responded frankly to Katlia's request. Admiral of Stars won't only ask for my help. At the tarot gathering next week, she might announce this mission to everyone, and the others know that Miss Magician's teacher is a member of the Abraham family. There's no point lying about matters that can be easily exposed. I shouldn't jeopardize the possible transactions in the future just for some petty gains. At times, honesty is the best policy. Alger stopped walking as he reverently bowed his head and recited Mr. Fool's honorific name. Please inform Ma'am Hermit that she can directly ask Miss Magician for clues regarding the direct descendants of the Abraham family. After settling the request by Admiral of Stars, Alger took the initiative to mention his encounter during the night of the blood moon, and he inquired to Mr. Fool about whether the item that resonated with the ocean, songster's beyonder characteristic, was the Book of Calamity, and if the female holding the golden cup in the Coral Palace was Kohainam. Something like that happened, Queen of Calamity might really not be completely dead. It's likely that she had split her beyonder characteristic, splitting them into the Book of Calamity and the one in the undersea ruin. Yes, there might even be a third or fourth portion, but I've no idea where they are. Klein confirmed without any hesitation that the elf was Queen of Calamity Kohainam. This wasn't based on intuition, but a logical inference. He had once obtained the golden cup that Elf Queen Kohainam loved, and a similar vessel had appeared in the dream. Elven songster, Saidas knew of Queen of Calamity's daily trivialities, and she had quite a strong relationship with the angel, which strongly implied that she was an elf that attended to Kohainam. It was completely understandable that the beyonder characteristic she left behind resonated with the Book of Calamity on the night of the blood moon. With this in mind, Klein suddenly recalled a matter. He had given Kohainam's beloved golden cup to Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina for her to bury in Sayadas's tomb. If Queen of Calamity really isn't completely dead, will the golden cup cause any form of mutation to the corpses of any elves close to her? Klein did a count of the time, and he discovered that he couldn't be certain if the golden dream had reached Sonya Island. After some thought, he calmly replied to the hanged man, "That's right." Following that, he forwarded the message to the Crimson Star, representing the Hermit. After doing all of this, Klein conjured the world Jayaman Sparrow and made him pray. Honorable Mr. Fool, please tell Danitz to pass on a message to Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina Edwards about the existence of any abnormalities between Elven songster Sayadas's corpse and the golden cup. Phew. After doing all of that, Klein exhaled and threw the corresponding image to the specially labeled point of light beside him. He then returned to the real world and left the bathroom. Coming before his changing mirror, he looked at his gray sideburns and blue eyes as he curled up the corners of his lips. He knew that he had returned from being Mr. Fool to the mysterious merchant, Dwayne Dance. Bam, inside a primitive forest. Danitz, who was having a feast in a particular base of the resistance, suddenly trembled as he nearly choked on the liquid in his mouth. Although this wasn't the first time he was receiving an answer from the mighty Fool, he still felt apprehensive and afraid. After he identified the figure and heard his words, he heaved a sigh of relief and knew that Jayaman Sparrow was getting him to do something. Ask Captain, that's simple. The Golden Dream will be picking me up in a few days. Hee, Jayaman Sparrow isn't crazy, and he's even very sincere and reverent before the mighty Fool. Danitz quickly relaxed as he leisurely thought. Meanwhile on the future, Katlia, who had received a response that surprised her, muttered in silence. Directly ask Miss Magician. Yes, she seems to be a beyonder of the apprentice pathway. She's actually related to the Abraham family. As I expected, she's not simple. Katlia considered a moment and decided if she ought to give the hanged man a new mission, because she wasn't too sure if Miss Magician was willing to divulge clues to the Abraham family. Walter returned to 160 Birkeland Street in the afternoon with a normal expression like before. He had apparently resolved everything easily. Klein didn't ask. He felt that their relationship hadn't reached a point in which his butler could be totally frank with him. Furthermore, the problem hadn't fully blown up before him in a way that couldn't be hidden. Time quickly passed as he had his lessons. The next evening, with the arrival of the full moon, Klein brought along Richardson and rode his high-end carriage to St. Samuel Cathedral for the moon mass. He wasn't worried about the donation that would happen, because Miss Justice had paid him £1,000. He now had £2,186, so it wasn't too difficult for him to donate a few £100s. It's only not too difficult. Klein sighed inwardly as he looked at the bell tower outside, left the carriage, walked across the square, and stepped into St. Samuel Cathedral.